Oh boy. Oh, look at this, guys. How you guys doing today? Oh, buddy, is it a beautiful day in Oklahoma? I'm telling you what, after the cold spell we had, this is just so beautiful. I'm just sitting here basking in the sun as it comes down through the trees. It's wonderful. Hope you're having a wonderful day there where you are. I've got some pretty good information today, or I should say interesting. I find it very interesting, specifically for me, because I used to be a Star Trek fan. I still am. I mean, there's no need to say I don't enjoy sci-fi things and mysteries and whodunits and all that. We all do. And I really enjoyed the concept of life, other forms of life, just it's a fantasy, and it was enjoyable because it was like, what if the universe was like this? And what if we advanced and we had a star fleet? And it was just a little bit of fun. So we thought. But as we now are finding out, all of these shows were more or less predictive programming. I don't even know whether I want to call it predictive programming anymore. That's a good point, and it is a predictive programming. But it's also secretly, mysteriously, if you know how to interpret all of these movies, you will see a theme throughout all of them. It's an explanation for why things are. They're trying to explain to you their reason for destroying you. They're trying to show in the movies why the world is so evil. And they're admitting they're evil. They're telling you who they are. But they're trying to tell you why. You notice how we talked about several times in Netflix, they got this programming going on now. It's called the Dark Mirror in some of the series that this kind of thing is being taught. These theories, these conspiracies about the universe and why we're here. They're telling you outright. They're flipping the script, right? Picard used to be a good guy. Captain Kirk supposedly was a good guy, right? With the U.S. Federation of Starships and stuff. But, so we were supposed to be good guys. Nobody thought that we were the bad guys. We were just trying to make law and order throughout the universe, of course, and save the universe from the bad Q and the evil, Kardashians. Kardashians? Why would they call them Kardashians? Does that have anything to do with the actual Kardashians that are all over the Sun and Inquirer and the newspapers and in the reality TV shows, and they're supposedly richer? I mean, you got one doing the psyop that pretends he's a man changed into a woman, makes billions of dollars off of this psyop of transgenderism, and then everybody else in his family makes money off of putting silicone in their lips and ass, But I don't know, but the Kardashians, probably there's a symbolic thing going on there. They're telling you, see, when we delve into this and determine what that's supposed to represent, these Kardashians, they're the enemy. Okay, and by the way, we're going to find out they're reptilians. And beneath that, we're going to find out what they really are. See, there's a lot of words that they're using, symbols. In other words, in Star Trek, they'll have people with looks like serpent-like faces and stuff like that. And then you'll find out that they're in confederation or some sort. There's part of the story we didn't know. Like, there is one character that's a shapeshifter. And if you really get into the plot, you'll find out what they're saying is that they're in the universe. There's a good universe and there's a bad universe. There's the mirror side. And this is all, the mirror side's going to take over, the evil. How? Out of the bottomless pit, out of nowhere, they come along. How did they take over? By switching the script, by deception. They put a group of the dark side, right? It looks like Captain Picard, but he's the bad Captain Picard. It looks like William Riker, right? It looks like all of these individuals that we saw on the regular Star Trek, but they're saying it's the bad side. Now, what does it mean? Well, there are shapeshifters involved. There are fluid people. See, we don't know. Somehow or another, they come in, and that's part of this whole symbolism that they're going to be presenting. We'll look into. And there are certain individuals that have children that end up being evil, kind of like the Anakin that grew up to be on the dark side and took over the universe on Star Wars. Well, we've got this other character called Crusher. His mother was the Doctor, and they play a role in this evil. So, William Stryker, or Riker, or what's his name? He was second in command on the original Star Trek New Generation thing. Well, in this new Star Trek Generation thing that's coming out, it's called the Mirror or something, the Dark Mirror. Picard's the bad guy, but he knows that William Riker is going to take over. You know, in the evil universe, they're looking over their shoulders. They want to murder their captain and take over the ship. And this is the kind of thing going on. Well, take a look at this. It says Star Trek is finally showing Deep Space Nine's dark origin. In Star Trek, The Mirror War, number 3, the evil O'Brien is doomed to slave labor aboard the still Kardashian-controlled Deep Space Nine station. Oh, the Kardashians are taking over, friends. Pay attention to the symbolisms. In Star Trek, The Mirror War, it's about to be revealed how the Kardashians used the Deep Space Nine. You know how 9 is throughout the occult. It has to do with evil, the 9, because it's just like 6 that's short of the perfection of 7. Well, 9 is short of the perfection of 10. Okay? But 7 is to do with time, and 10 has to do with space. So what we're talking about is Deep Space 9. It's very purposeful. Now, you wouldn't notice that it's about space because you don't, we're not numerologists. We're just people, and we're not aware of all of the ancient symbolisms and the esoteric wisdom. But that's what their meaning there with this Deep Space 9 is this evil space. Like it's the dark matter, right? It's the mirror of the good. So the Federation assumes control with this twisted alternate reality, hopefully shedding light on the franchise's mainstream events. Although the Federation is portrayed as an evil empire, remember it used to be the good empire, now it's the evil empire. In this other world, the Kardashians don't appear to be good version of their counterparts. They're not just all fun and games, you find out, you get down deep and you find out what their real intent is, or what they are set up to be used for later by the dark side, is what you're going to find out. So, it's not a normal universe. It's likely that the Kardashians' controlled DS9 will be an accurate portrayal of how the evil Kardashians would have used the space station before the events of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Best of all, the evil version of the Federation's officers, the officer who's going to experience this station firsthand, is none other than Miles O'Brien. As revealed in Star Trek, The Mirror War, number 3, by writers Scott and David Tipton, artist Gavin Smith, and blah, blah. Miles O'Brien started out as a nameless fill-in before becoming a recurring character in Star Trek, The Next Generation, and getting a lead role in Deep Space Nine, where he served as Chief Operations Officer. It's therefore only fitting that his evil counterpart would follow in a similar pattern in the Mirror War. In the 3rd issue, he is still under the command of Jean-Luc Picard, and he goes on a away mission before getting captured by the Kardashians, who will send him to DS9. Deep Space Nine, the other world, the dark side, guys. But instead of becoming chief or getting another honorable title, he will serve aboard the Kardashian-controlled space station. The evil side has taken over the space station, and he's going to be there as a slave laborer. The stations from each universe share many similarities. For example, both sets of Kardashians referred to their station as Teruk Nor, used it for mining and refinery, and leveraged slave labor in some way. See, well, why does this have to do with slave labor? You're going to find out that the movie is about finances, military, slaves, evil, why evil exists. It's going to be a psyop. This whole movie is trying to convince you that evil really isn't any different than good. It's just two sides of the same coin. That's what they're wanting you to believe. And they're wanting you to understand why the evil does what the evil does. Why they lost their mommy when they were little. So the universe is just evil. There is no God, see? And they figured that out. They're the smart ones. You're the idiot that still believes in good. See? They finally woke up and they realized that the only way that there's no eternal life, they're going to have to just take what they want and kill and because there's no, maybe if they do so much evil and kill everybody, they can take over the universe and make a good universe. That's what they're basically, I think, trying to get us to believe is that the universe we have is the universe that is the real one that God made, and of course there is no God. So it's a figment of your imagination, and this concept of good was never proper in the first place. So fans of Star Trek Deep Space Nine will undoubtedly appreciate future issues of the Mirror War, dedicated to Miles' enslavement aboard Teruk Nor. In fact, there are many chances for other well-known characters to make an appearing during the issue. Probably the most prominent would be the changeling known as Odo. Notice they call him a changeling. In other words, he's not solid, he's fluid, or a change shifter, shape shifter. But what is a shape shifter? What is a changeling? Well, they're fluid. What does that mean? It means they're demons. It means the dark side is the spirit world. And this is a story about how the demons are going to take over the world. Okay, hang on. Who, despite becoming an ally to Starfleet, began as an impartial outsider observer for the Kardashians and Bajorians. Well, who are these Kardashians and Bajorians? Take a look at this. All right, first of all, here's what a changeling is. This is list of Star Trek aliens. So this guy that's a changeling, this Odo, what is he? Well, it says a race of fluid shapeshifters who founded the Dominion by genetically engineering organisms to operate the military. Isn't this? Oh, I guess that's why they call it a mirror, because this is literally a reflection of the truth that's happening right here in our world. But it's the dark mirror, guys. In our military right now, they're creating super soldiers. They're right now changing your DNA, your RNA. It's a military and it's logistics. These organisms, call them the founders, refer to most humanoid species as solids. All right, so we're the solids. In other words, we're in the real physical world. They're not in this physical solid world. They're spirits. And then here is a Kardashian. Does that look a little bit like a reptilian? Are the real Kardashians in the world playing the reality TV, which is fake, but playing... In other words, it looks like a cartoon. They're playing a part, but they're trying to reveal something to you. There are those walking among us that look like humans, but they're of a different race. They're reptilian. They're evil. They're up to no good, and they've assimilated humans, or they're trying to. See? So that's what a Kardashian is, a reptilian, friends. Why is this show about reptilians, shapeshifters, or demons, and the evil dark side, the occult? Why is this about the occult? Why are all the movies about the occult? Because the occult is a mystery that's always been in the world, secrets that the peasants were never allowed to know. It was the elite doing their little hand signs, showing so they could know. Like when Trump flashes the pyramid or the six sign, that's so that the evil people in the world, the elite, know that he's on their side and everything's going fine. Here is a Bajoran. Now, I used to like this girl. She seemed like a nice lady, right? Well, I guess there's a deeper part of this. If you notice, she's kind of pretty. Almost looks like human, right? But take a look at that nose. You see the reptilian nose? So what we're saying by this is that she's part human, perhaps. She's assimilated into the human race, or some sort of humanoid, right? But she's also part reptilian. Don't trust her. Yeah, don't trust her. They're not so good. So, here is the dark mirror. As with, let's see if we can, there we go. The dark mirror. As with Picard of the Prime universe, Patrick Stewart, the guy who plays Picard, was used for Picard's likeness. All right. It's the same guy. Okay. That's the dark side. What are they saying? Are they saying the spirits are trying to take over by getting inside and ousting the good part of the humans and genetically manipulating them and then being able to enter into their bodies and take over the universe? Well, yes, because you'll see the plot unfold here. It says, in the Star Trek, The Next Generation novel Dark Mirror, the permutation of the mirror universe shown the Terran Empire had not fallen is that Tehran? And I don't know. As that universe, Spock had failed to reform. Oh, Spock had failed to reform the Empire. And remember, Spock had the Judean sign, right? Where he stuck his hand up and split his, 2 fingers on one side and 2 fingers on the other. That Spock sign, right? The Vulcan sign, which was a sign of the occult that we were just talking about, flashing signs. Okay, so they've been trying for years, thousands of years. Now we're in the year 2335 or 50 something, right? Well, that's 300 years from now. And they're still trying to take over the universe. Now their operations are out in the sky. It's a Star Wars. But they're still trying to take over the whole universe. So the Empire survived into the 24th century. And Spock failed, Like his Prime Universe counterpart, Picard was born in 2305 in the French village of La Barre. Now, I always wondered, why did they put somebody who was French in the seat of as captain, right? This is a very, would you say Caucasian man? But at the same time, you think, well, wait a minute now. Is that what they want to portray? Well, in the end, it turns out they're telling us that they're going to, this just happened to be the circumstance, maybe they're saying, that Picard was in control and everything was okay. They still followed truth and morality. Maybe he was a Christian, from Europe. But you see, somebody got into his mind and they made another counterpart of Picard who becomes the evil Picard. But you see, it looks like a French guy, but the shapeshifter that's inside of him, these Bajorians that, he kind of had a crush on. Remember Picard had a crush on her? Maybe there was an unholy alliance there. Well, let's keep reading. So, by 2333, he was, interesting, 333. At this juncture, it must be an important one, he was in command of the ISS Stargazer. Is that like ISIS? The military, the terrorist group ISIS, which he commanded for over 20 years. In 2354, he betrayed and murdered his close friend, Jack Crusher. He murdered? See, in the other show, he didn't murder him. He just sent him on an away team, and he ended up getting killed in battle. But in this one, he kills him in order to have Jack's wife, Beverly. Beverly Crusher was the doctor on the Star Trek Next Generation. That was I forget her name. Beverly Crusher, who has a child that's very well. We'll read about that in a second. As a result of the Wesley Crusher, which was her son, they introduced this young man on the New Generation Star Trek, and he had a little bit of, you could tell there was something going on in that young man's mind. Kind of like an Anakin to turn into some evil guy, right? But he's very closely related to Picard. So he's mad at Picard because he thinks that, well, in the first series, The Next Generation, he thinks that Picard killed his father. He hates Picard. But in the Dark Mirror side, I guess he did kill his father. So perhaps they're saying, look, he has a real excuse because deep down in his heart, in his dark side, he did it on purpose. Okay, I don't know. A few months after defeating the Ferengi at the Battle of Maxia, he excavated the Stargazer and destroyed the ship via the auto-destruct device. Okay, here's what's interesting. This young man Crusher, the upcoming evil prince, who's the son of the woman that Picard loves, he ends up killing the Ferengi. Now, who are the Ferengi? Well, this is something you need to see. Well, first of all, there's the young Crusher. We'll get back to that here in a second. But here is what they call the Quark, or he's a Ferengi. Now, who is this guy? He's got big ears. Now, in symbology, what they're trying to say is that this guy's got a big head. You notice he's got this huge frontal lobe and huge accentuated ears. What they're saying is that this character is very smart. He's the smartest one. He's smarter than Picard. He's smarter than Crusher. He's smarter than, Riker. He's smarter than everybody. He's smarter than Spock. This man's got huge ears because he listens carefully, and this means he understands. He knows. Look at his little eyes. He's got like evil teeth, like serpent teeth or carnivorous kind of teeth. It looks like he's got more than one set of teeth or something. They're filed very sharp. Like if he bit you, it would probably rip your face off. So he's a little animalistic that way. So what it's saying is that people are really smart. The really intelligent beings are evil. And who is this person? Well, he probably represents the banking industry. Because if you look at it, it says that Quark is a fictional character in the American television series Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, played by Armin Shimmerman, and is a member of the extraterrestrial race known as the Ferengi, who are stereotypically capitalists and motivated only by profit. All right, well, for those who know the real truth, what they're trying to tell you is these aren't humans that control the financial market. These are some kind of humanoid, but they're not humans. So it says, after recovering a stolen T9 energy converter from the Ferengi, Picard and his crew committed genocide against the Ferengi by murdering all the Ferengi and the Ferenginar. The planet was relocated to Gamma Cephei for a resettlement by an approved species. You see what they're saying here? These little Ferengi, they're evil. They got evil little filed, vampire teeth. They're vampires. They suck your blood, right? They got big ears. They understand a lot. They're very smart, big brains. They know how to defeat you. But you see, of course, they're really the good people. Why? Because, well, the poor things, they were trying to defend themselves. See, there was a Picard, right, this white guy, he was trying to commit genocide against them. Well, so this is all backwards. You know, this may represent something in our history. You could look at it like, well, the Catholic Church tried to get rid of all the Sephardic individuals. They had the Inquisitions. They ended up taking over the bank and then taking over the world. Well, it's justified because after all, the world was trying to kill them and genocide them, and they don't have a land anymore, right? They've been relocated. 607 BC, they were relocated to Babylon and came out evil. Well, you can't blame them, right? They took over the banking and the world. They're angry. They have a right. They've seen the dark side inside of you because you tried to kill them. But this is convoluted. Of course, you're never going to get the right or the true story from the evil mouth. They're not going to tell you. They have to tell you all the truth. They're giving you the truth here, but they're putting it in such a way that they're trying to excuse the evil. They're trying to show you another side to everything. The dark side, the mirror, the other side of the mirror, you know? So it says other atrocities committed by Picard included the destruction of the microbian on Valera 3, the destruction of the last Taralian ship in existence, the destruction of the Aldans. These are probably natives, right, that the colonists went in to destroy. See? So therefore, it's justified because all these natives that they destroyed. Thank goodness there was one group that had big ears and they understood what was going on, and they were, you know, and they didn't just lay down and let them murder them. They infiltrated the good world with this evil. And it was a necessary evil because the good world was really evil, you see? Don't you see? So in 2367, the Empire realized that they were running out of territory to conquer. And the Empire would collapse once that happened. Yeah, the world today is about to collapse, guys. Pay attention to what they're trying to tell you. And they're not saying that it's collapsing because the evil people are collapsing it. They're saying it collapses because the good people were the evil people in reality. We're shifting the roles here. And they persecuted the people that you think are evil, but they're only evil because they were being persecuted, and now they're getting back at you. And you're the real culprit. Americans, we're the real evil people, not the Germans. And it wasn't the Germans anyway. It was the elite, whether they were in Germany, whether they were in Egypt, whether they were in Babylon, whether they were in the United States, whoever these elite are. They keep moving around, moving their world headquarters, planting their palatial tabernacles, as the Bible says the Antichrist would do, planting his palatial tabernacles all over the world. So it says, Picard took part in this ambitious plan to conquer the prime universe, the good universe, the real one. Now we're in an assimilated universe. So what is the assimilated universe for? What are they making this assimilation for, the dark mirror? To bring down the prime universe, guys. Do you see what we're talking about here? They're telling you the prime universe, the good one, is got to go. Because there were some bad things in the real universe that, you know, if we studied why those bad things happened, we'll find out that the real universe was being deceived by the same people then too. But this is a mind game. This is a MK Ultra mind manipulation. They're trying to make you believe that the evil that was committed in our name for thousands of years wasn't our evil. We were the peasants. These elite were shapeshifters. They pretended to be us. They did all the evil. And once they had convinced us that we were evil because we had a conscience and we said, my goodness, there was evil in the world. And we didn't know it was them that committing the evil. We thought, well, maybe it was us. Maybe Picard's evil. So they shift the script. But in this script, they're telling you what's really going on. They're shapeshifters. They're demons. They're taking over the real world. And so this would involve making an incursion, into the prime universe, taking a Federation vessel and replacing its crew as a prelude to invasion. Due to the efforts of this prime universe counterpart and the crew of the USS Enterprise D, not only did the plan fail, but the prime universe Enterprise crew was able to devise a means to keep Picard and the Imperials from the version of the mirror universe from making any further incursions into the Prime universe. And there's the evil Picard. Wow, he's got muscles. He looks a little younger, too. And, of course, he's got the... Looks a little satanic there, doesn't he? In the permutation of the mirror universe, featured in the Mirror Broken series of comics, Picard was a member of the Imperial Starfleet and in command of the ISS Stargazer in 2360s. Finding out about the Empire's newest starship, the ISS or ISIS, the terrorist organization, Enterprise D, Picard was able to take the ship and assume command. But let's go back to this Crusher. Teens on board Wesley and Jake. Now, the characters of Wesley R. Crusher and Jacob Jake Sisko, that's the young black man there, stand as unique creations in the history of Star Trek. Teenage characters who fans get to watch grow up into adults as the show progresses. While children and teens had been guest stars during the original show, most notably, and the children shall lead, it was not until the introduction of Wesley on Star Trek, The Next Generation, and then Jake on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, that teens took a prominent role in the Star Trek adventures. One of the most important similarities between the characters is that both lost a parent. It is worth noting the deaths of Wesley's father and Jake's mother are connected to Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Wesley's father was Jack Crusher, I should say, a lieutenant commander serving under Captain Picard on the USS Stargazer. Picard sent Crusher on the mission that led to his death. 14 years later, Picard would be abducted by the Borg collective and turned into Locutus, leading an assault at the Battle of Wolf 359 against Starfleet. This led to the death of Jake's mother, Jennifer, aboard the USS Saratoga. Wesley and Jake were lucky to have strong surviving parents in Beverly Crusher, which was Picard's girlfriend, and in the tradition of Star Trek serving as a metaphor to real life, these characters represent the challenges forced by the single-parent homes during the 1980s and 90s. Well, at first I thought that was ridiculous to say that's what they symbolized. But in a sense, I think they're right. They're actually letting us know what the interpretation of this movie is right there by connecting that aspect. Because, you see, that's what they've been doing for the last 50 years. The elite. They abused the children. And if you look at Anakin, remember his mother died? Same thing. His wife was killed, and it made him angry. That's what made him evil. So here, this young man, they murdered his mom. He's angry. They murdered his dad, I should say. He's really angry, and he's not sure whether he wants to be a member of Starfleet. Just kind of like Anakin didn't know if he wanted to be a member of the good side, because he was trying to find powers to bring back his wife and his mother. And he didn't care if he got it from the evil side. So you see, what these people are saying is that the bankers, the Bavarians, they know they're evil, but they're telling you why. They're trying to do good. But in order to do good, they got to kill all the people in power because they're bad. Or they won't give them the secret power of resurrecting their mommy. In other words, their race is going to be gone. They'll end up getting killed. Human beings will just die. The world's going to keep going around and around, and we'll all die, and there's no, it might be a nice little world, but what they're trying to do is find immortality. What they're trying to do is bring back their mother, their race. It's not fair that their race was exterminated. They don't want you to know the evil deeds that their God put upon the world. They believe in their religion. They think it's we got to have law and order, and by golly, you shouldn't have genocided us. Well, remember, the script is flipped. It was the Old Testament, Old Covenant, the covenant of this world, which is this prime world that's being ruled over by this evil God, but who thinks he's the only God. He thinks he's right. And he's trying to convince you that really his children, the demons, are really the good guys. They don't have bodies. That's not fair. You people are running around down there having sex and enjoying life. And they've been ruling over us by being a shapeshifter, by infiltrating, creating a whole new reptilian race and infiltrating them and mating with humans so that these little quirks, half reptilian, half humans, took over banking and got inside of Picard and took his brain over, controlled the captain's seat, and by this means they took over the universe, the whole world. Both Wesley and Jake were influenced by their parents in terms of career choices and hobbies. For example, Wesley and Jake learned about baseball from their fathers. Even more important, see, that's really what's important. Baseball. And they learned that from their fathers. The old ways, bubblegum and baseball and Coca-Cola and all that, the good times. Even more important to their characters, especially as teenagers, is watching Wesley and Jake decide which career paths to take as they grow up to adulthood. Yeah, and they choose evil. Well, it's your fault with your Christian views, right? You believe in Jesus. You see, you should have been an atheist and we'd all been fine. Well, they didn't know what to believe. They're being pulled between good and evil, and they finally went over to the evil side because they knew the truth that you people are the real evil side. For Wesley, living in space is wonderful experience, and he has a deep interest and commitment to Starfleet. He had good role models in his two Starfleet parents, which inspired his choice. The commitment almost entirely defines Wesley's personality during his 4 years as a regular character. In fact, except for the occasional mention of friends as the 10 Forward scene at the end of Evolution, or his interactions with characters like Robin Leffler, most of Wesley's friendships are with his Starfleet mentors. William Riker, Geordi LaForge, remember the black man that had the visor, he couldn't see, he was blind. Data, who was a computer, this is technology, this is an example of the world around us. The visor on LaForge was technology advancement, you see. Don't you appreciate technology, friends? It gave LaForge the ability to see. These people are like gods. Why don't you understand this? You ought to get down on your knees and worship them. They're your saviors. Wesley does have a crisis about whether or not to actually join Starfleet near the end of the series. He's beginning to wake up and realize that this world's evil and he should join the dark side like Anakin did. And he questions if he made his choices because of what he wants or because of what he thought others wanted of him. See, am I being good because people want me to be good, or do I want to be good? Is it really what I want? Maybe I want to be evil. Really? So, he does leave his studies at the academy for a while to go experience the universe with the Traveler. But he then returns to his original goal of joining Starfleet by the time of Star Trek Nemesis. He is seen at Riker and Deanna Troy's wedding in a Lieutenant Junior grade Starfleet uniform. And in a deleted scene, the script, the novelization explained that Wesley will be joining Riker's crew on the USS Titan. It should be noted that some of the non-canon books offer a different explanation for why Wesley is wearing the uniform. By contrast, Jake is less enthusiastic about living in space, especially aboard Deep Space Nine. In the 1992 DS9 writer's Bible says that Jake knows, they call it a Bible, knows that his mom would still be alive if they did not live in space. And he has a suppressed bitterness about it. Unlike Wesley, who immediately takes to life aboard a starship, Jake does not really see Starfleet as an option. Benjamin Sisko presumes his son will follow his example, and Jake is concerned about disappointing his father in early episodes of the show. See, this is trying to mentally change people's minds about good and evil, friends. So what's the Sisko thing about? We got the Jake Sisko. Remember, he was a kid lost his parent. It's similar to the other young kid, Wesley Crusher. These two play an important role in this very convoluted story. But what do the characters have to do with each other? We've got this Ro Lauren, who in some ways was the original Bajoran, but her position sort of gets taken over by another character along the line. But the point is that this woman is a Bajoran. Now, it's the Bajoran people where this Sisko individual comes from. He ends up he's a black man from the Bajorans, who on their planet have white people and black people. They're very similar to humans. They look very humanoid. So it's sort of an example of some kind of, you might say, a race, a type of people who have beliefs similar to humans, but they've been altered just a little bit. They were under the control of these Kardashians, which we've already noticed are serpent-like reptilian beings. So the reptilians have infiltrated into this very nice humanoid planet, and you can even see the remains with her nose, there's 4 to 7 notches in their nose. As you can see, Ro Lauren has that reptilian nose. So she's just got a little bit of the reptilian in her. And in her character, she's quite confused about her past. She's disgusted with her people. She was forced to sit and watch her father being murdered and tortured by the Kardashians. So she definitely hates Kardashians. But then, as she goes on and gets older, she begins to sort of dislike her own father for being a coward and her own people for being taken over. They said that the Kardashians had taken over the Bajorians for 40 years, which is, again, like the Bible, this is symbolic. They had been slaves, and she didn't like it. But now they were going to get sort of liberated, right? The Federation was coming. They wanted to make a liberation. They wanted to get rid of the evil. But there's always a plot behind the scenes. It's always convoluted. So here the hero never knows for sure whether they're good or bad. The deception is just complete. Look at that. It almost looks like a cross on her, right between her eyes. But they made sure that they got a real pretty girl to represent this particular woman. She ends up doing quite a lot of mischievous things, but in the story, it's because she was very confused. A little, like we said, like the Anakim had been confused, so he ended up choosing the evil side. Well, this is a little bit like this Bajoran Ensign Ro. She ends up, it's hard to read her. We don't know whose side she's on all the way through the episodes and the different versions of the show. And she doesn't really know where her loyalty resides. For a long time, like I said, she doesn't even know if her own people deserve to be free because she thinks they're cowards. And so then as she gets older, she begins to identify more with her people and could forgive her father, and she becomes very courageous and she wants to help. So she ends up befriending this guy Odo. Remember, he's the shapeshifter. Yeah. So the planet Bajor ends up being run by the Sisko, Benjamin Sisko. Well, he ends up being one of the prophets. So they're saying that this particular planet is like, they say it's the oldest civilization in the universe or something. It's an old ancient heritage with ancient ways. They have the prophets. And so Benjamin Sisko, who has to go and live with the prophets and discovers that he is born of the prophets. He was appointed, or he had a destiny. And so he has a son who loses his mother. And so Benjamin Sisko ends up coming to this point where, because he's from the prophets, now the prophets is a place called the Celestial Temple. These prophets believe that this world that we live in is fake, and they're the real world, or the Celestial Temple, which is where the prophets live. That's not on that planet Barjor, and it's another dimension or something. It's a spirit realm, right? It's heaven, and the prophets tell about the place of paradise, the golden age. But of course, the world has fallen. The angels have come and had relations with the daughters of men. There's shapeshifters. There's greedy little big-eared financial individuals that are corrupting the system. And there are the evil reptilians that have taken over the planet for 40 years. And then this man who was destined by the prophets becomes the captain of the space station. Well, this woman who ends up having problems knowing what her loyalties are, because she doesn't know if she even is for, she's so disgusted with all the evil and people. Like, she's like, in deep down, she's a good person. It's kind of like people today that don't know they're stuck in this world. They don't know who to hate. They don't know who's trying to kill them. They don't know whether their original culture, the prophets, are true anymore. They've lost faith. And so she ends up becoming the first, lieutenant, or the first person to become a member of the team of Benjamin Sisko. They're both from the same planet, from the same people, but we don't know whether Ensign Ro Lauren that we're talking about, this Bajorian, we don't know where her loyalties exist. Has she been deceived because she has a relationship now with a shapeshifter? Oh, here's where all the trouble starts. The shapeshifters are now trying to take over this planet and deceive them. There's something to do with business. She has a relationship with a shapeshifter, a reptilian. Maybe she's doing it to get in, to infiltrate the evil, because she might have a really good heart. We haven't seen the ending of this yet, but she's definitely working sort of on her own. She's a free agent, and nobody knows really what to do. But Picard, in his gut, feels that she's okay, and he suggests that she becomes a captain. One day she ends up taking over the space station. So there's a lot going on here. One thing that I think is interesting, remember, Picard has a relationship with the doctor on his Enterprise, and the doctor's name is Crusher, and she has the son Wesley Crusher. He ends up becoming sort of a surrogate father, but again, we don't know where his loyalties are. He ends up losing his father, and he blames Picard. That sort of story's playing out there. Well, there's this other young man, Jake Sisko, whose mother dies. His father is Benjamin Sisko. So he's from the planet Barjor. Well, his father is the captain, or the ruler, I don't know what they call that position on the space station, and he's one of the prophets. So this young man is also one of the prophets. And there's a battle for the mind, for the people. They don't know what to believe. They don't know whether to believe in the prophets. And so little Jake Sisko loves his father, Benjamin, and he knows his father's a prophet. And now he learns he's a prophet. He was destined, right? Well, Ensign Ro, this other Bajorian woman with the serpentine, obvious reptilian genetic quality going on there, having the relationship with the demons, right? The shapeshifters. She gets in there like a cog in the wheel, and this young man's going to have to decide. She may be loyal. She may be have integrity. But to what cause? She's deceived. She doesn't believe in the prophets anymore. Why, they're fools. See? Interesting, they put a black man in as the great prophet who's going to save the ancient mysteries and save the universe, in a sense. Everybody's got a role somehow here in saving the universe. But every one of these individuals are symbolic of some aspect in our society that is being deceived. And it shows you how they are deceiving and manipulating minds. But what is also interesting here is that Picard then has a secret relationship with Crusher, Wesley Crusher's mom, and Riker, Will Riker, second in command under Picard. He has a kind of romantic feeling for Ensign Ro, or Ro Lauren. Neither one of them ever have an actual relationship. They don't get married. They don't have a wedding. They don't even have a relationship. But there's this kind of sexual tension between both of them. I'm not really sure what this is saying, except symbolically that the captain of the ship of this world, you're not certain where your loyalties are. You're sort of being sexually attracted to the opposite, to the evil side, right? There's sort of an attraction to this evil. All the evil in the world's your fault. See, Captain Kirk, you shouldn't be, having these feelings for this guy that's going to end up betraying you. You shouldn't have this loyalty to I guess it's these lustful feelings. The very nature itself of human beings is what's going to be our downfall. And they're just sitting there laughing, saying, see, it's your fault. It's not our fault. If you hadn't lusted for that woman, if you didn't get deceived, oh, yes, we deceived you, but we just showed you that you're a deceptive person, that you're willing to be deceived. That's your nature. We just showed you who and what you really are. So therefore, we, the evil ones, are really the, more or less, the deliverers, right? We freed the world from such nonsense, from such hypocrisy. We're all evil anyway, aren't we? And may the best man win. Is that what they're trying to say? So, basically, what I think this is all about here. And remember, this is just one of the series. We could talk about Star Wars. We could talk about Superman, Batman, all the other Iron Man. We've talked about many of these programs and their predictive programming and stuff. But what we don't realize is it's the propaganda inside the movies as well. They're actually trying to stir something within you to maybe make you doubt that there really is any reason to be a good person. And maybe you should just go ahead and join the evil side. After all, even your Captain Kirk and Picard and Riker, these people that you respect, that are so wise, even they are lusting after the other side secretly. This is why you will fail. And this is why we, the evil shapeshifters, have to enter into your world and take you over to expose your evil that you have. What is also on display here is the plan that the evil ones have. Because when the shapeshifters have convinced the Bajorians that really their prophets are worthless, right? And they overthrow their Cisco line, and they put in their Ro Lauren, who is obviously part reptilian, to infiltrate and to introduce the financial mechanisms of capitalism. This will destroy the empire. And the shapeshifters will turn the mirror and go to the dark side. The world will then be run by the reptilians. They'll be living inside us because there's an element to this of scientific biotechnology and how somehow or another they enter in. There's the last part of the whole series gives you what the real plot is. Let me show you that. So, remember now, Picard has already been shown that he has some human weaknesses. Humans are weak. They fall in love. They have sentimentality. This loyalty, this integrity thing is going to be their downfall, right? Their forgiveness, their level-headedness. Because the evil will always win when good people are afraid to be evil like the evil side, I guess. So Picard's already got that, there's this question. Is this good man going to be able to save the world? Or is he really just evil anyway? Are there really any good people anyway? And so they manipulate this little thing, after all, are armies good? If good people have armies, bad people have armies, and they're all battling, who's right and who's wrong? Maybe the bad side are just trying to be liberating themselves, just like we're liberating. It's all self-defense. So, in the story, as we said, Picard sends Crusher's dad, Wesley Crusher's dad, down to a planet to battle something or whatever. He ends up dying. Now, on the show, Next Generation, he's not considered a bad person for doing that. He didn't intend to hurt anybody. He didn't kill the man's father. The man died in battle. They were defending themselves. This is a righteous thing. But you see, on the flip side, in the Dark Mirror, the young Wesley Crusher hates Picard, his surrogate father. He hates him because he believes he killed his father. And so what they're saying is maybe he really did. Maybe secretly Picard is an evil person. So there's something wrong with this person. So it says by 2367, the Empire realized that they were running out of territory to conquer. Oh, so the Federation could no longer conquer. See, they're the evil. They're not defending themselves. They're conquerors. And the Empire would collapse once that happened. So Picard took part in an ambitious plan to conquer the Prime Universe. See, in the evil universe, as opposed to the Prime Universe, there's an evil Picard. And see, this is probably the truth, because he did kill the man's father. He's probably not a good person. So what are they going to do? Well, they had a plan, and it would involve making an incursion into the Prime Universe, taking a Federation vessel and replacing its crew as a prelude to invasion. Due to the effects of this Prime Universe counterpart and the crew of the USS Enterprise D, not only did the plan fail, but the Prime Universe Enterprise crew was able to devise a means to keep Picard and the Imperials from that version of the Mirror universe from making any further incursions. See, the Mirror universe is like stuff that they're talking about today, on YouTube and, in the news. They're talking about the dark matter. They're talking about other dimensions and multi-dimensions, and somehow or another there's another world where we're all living and we're all doing opposite things. They're talking about this as though it's reality, when the truth is there isn't multiple universes in actuality. You could, in time or in space, you could have other places where we exist because we do go on in time. But simultaneously, not actually. Well, unless you believe, in this contorted view that, well, since there is no time and space, then it's all happening right now. Even all the possibilities. See, they're not just possibilities. They're actually happening in another universe. Well, a pretend universe in your mind. And you say, well, if everything's mind over matter anyway, then it's all happening simultaneously. Well, the truth is it's not. The evil universe is in their minds. It's not happening. But they're going to try to convert the good universe into the evil universe by confusing all of us. And the way they're going to do it, transpose all the members of the crew into evil members of the crew rather than the original good members of the crew. And how do they do it? Well, we saw how they did that to Ensign Rowe, as they called her. They simply terrorized her people, murdered her father. That's called MK Ultra mind control. In other words, trauma-based control. They controlled Rowe Lauren, even though she didn't know it. They were controlling her psyche. She ended up taking over Deep Space Nine because remember, the station on the Bajorian planet in their area, they have a space station. It ends up becoming this Deep Space Nine. The evil reptilians had taken over the universe by taking and enslaving them and torturing them. And then in the end, when they thought they were free, they began to doubt themselves and the prophets. And this is how they destroyed the universe, my friends. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I hope you guys have a really great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of What the Heck is Going On Here? See you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.